Well, hello there. My name's Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. You probably know me from my various films. I'm over here in America, or have been over here in America, um, promoting my latest book, 20 Years in a Loincloth, um, and um, and the sequel, How to Stop Vines from Chafing. And unfortunately, there does seem to have been a bit of a zombie apocalypse. Um, so um, So yes, basically, the shit has hit the fan, and I need to find some way of surviving. Now, obviously, my reputation uh, doesn't allow for me to use much in the way of sophisticated equipment. Um, I suppose I better, yes. As you can see, I've since I've been over here, I've put on a bit of weight, so I'm going to have to do something about that. I'm not actually in the best shape that I've ever been in. Yeah, so yeah, see how it goes. I mean, obviously, I'm a bit out of practice with the old bow and spear and knife and thing that you'll be familiar with me using. But hopefully, with a bit of practice, I can get back to that. And Yeah, I mean, I suppose I mean, if I happen to find a gun and whatever, I don't see why I shouldn't use it until it breaks, and if I can find some ammunition for it. But other than that, really, I have to make do with primitive equipment, and also, obviously, I am Lord of the Jungle, so basically, I will be trying to make a jungle and live in the trees. So we'll see how that goes. And now, place at bedroll. Not a tree exactly, but there we go. Gather wood. Gather wood. I suppose I can beat on this tree a little bit. Probably, given that in fact, I'm just wearing a loincloth, I ought to find my way out of this snow biome that looks a little bit warmer over there. So, yes. No point in making things more difficult than they need to be. So we now have one of those. Stone axe, yes, no, that's an appropriate bit of equipment for me. Unfortunately, Jane won't be able to join us. She was sadly eaten by a zombie on the first day of the apocalypse. But to be honest, she was becoming a bit of a diva, and if I get through this, I think probably we can recast her. So not to worry too much. Oh, grab a few snowballs. Never know when they'll come in handy. Let me see now. Oh, why not? Craft. Suppose I could make some clothes. I mean, obviously, on the clothes front, I'm fairly expert at making my own clothes. 30 years in a jungle does that for you, but armor will be limited, really. And I mean, I don't mind, you know, a bit of padding between the thighs, you know, as much as the next man. But you know, I draw the line at carrying around piles of metal. Really, you know, it's going to have to be cloth and leather. Wooden club, yeah, I suppose I can make one of them. Let's grab a few more stones. By the way, if you can hear a bit of clicking in the background, that's I'm just suffering a little bit from arthritis these days. And for the record, I was joking about Jane. I mean, not the bit about her being eaten by a zombie, but actually, of course, she's not the real Jane. The real Jane died years ago in the jungle. That's another story, though. And and yes, this is just the Jane they cast most recently in the films. To be honest, on the subject of recasting, I think I was probably for the chop as well. Apparently, in the films, middle-aged, somewhat going to see Tarzan doesn't really really sell very well. So yes, all a bit sad, really. But you know, there you have it. If I can get a couple more feathers out of this. Yes. Cotton. Yes. Blow that. Slightly more hospitable here. Okay, so that's done with those formalities. Suppose now we ought to be thinking about finding the trader and then maybe planting a few trees for me to sleep in tonight. pretty impressive running, really, isn't it? As you can see, I still suffer slightly from this habit of holding one hand out in front of me. Years in the jungle, scrambling along on all fours with my gorilla buddies. It's just a hard habit to get out of. Actually, I think at this point, I think I might like to make a couple of spears. I mean, to be honest, I know in the films I use bows quite a lot, but you know, it's just Hollywood. I mean, the reality is in the jungle, half the time you can't see more than a few yards, and a bow is really about as much use as a and I mean, I don't know, as you know, as a concrete toilet roll, for example. I think at this point I may stop for a bit of a breather and have a think about which of my many excellent survival skills I want to practice. So obviously, I think spears and my archery could probably do some work, and might want to work on cardio a little, I think. Not something you see every day. Large exclamation mark in the middle of the road. Still, you know, this is America. All sorts of strange stuff here.
Hello, traveler. Come in business with you.
Well, he doesn't seem to have an awful lot useful out there, but never mind.
Pleasure. pleasure doing business with you.
Wait, let's see if he's got any little jobs I could possibly do during the rest of the afternoon.
I'm in a little predicament. I look forward to seeing you again.
One thing's for certain, at some point I'm going to need to gather a little more food. Though the unkind amongst you may suggest that I'm not going to starve anytime soon. I think at this point it might be worth just me putting down some form of container and offloading some of these bits and pieces. I'm also going to need, I think, a shovel of some sort to dig up these supplies. Oh, stone shovel, here we go. I also want to find somewhere flat. It might be appropriate for me to start building a home. Oh, typical. Ah. Now, when it comes to the film, I'm sure that bit will be edited out. You know, it will be beautiful headshots. Now, where was I? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's plant a tree there, and then I'm going to try and create a network of trees through which I can hang my tree house. But I need to get them growing. Luckily, here the soil's pretty good, and the trees do seem to grow remarkably fast. Okay, now I think I'll just see if I can get some form of preliminary structure going here against this tree, see if it'll hold the weight. Yep, that seems to work. Okay, now we can head off and find those supplies the trader was worrying about. Now, the astute amongst you may have noticed a slight break in the timeline here, but that was, let's just say that was just quite a lot of me running, and also using a tree for one of its other many purposes. And I think now we're pretty well where we should be, yes. So dig, 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 boring, boring, dig, dig, find supplies. The end. Oh, ouch. Well, that never happens in the films. Oh, but that, if I may say so myself, was fairly epic. I think at this point in the film I would probably say something along the lines of, "Me, Tarzan, you porcupine." You'll notice that my accent is a little different from the one you're familiar with, and people often say, "You can't be Tarzan, not with that voice." And yes, the reality is, of course, they overdub my voice. Apparently, I don't sound quite as big and butch as I should do. And also, for some reason, there is an expectation that I should have a vaguely American accent and inadequate grammar. Of course, the truth is, Jane was very particular about grammar. She taught me most of my English, and all of this "me Tarzan, you Jane" thing wouldn't have cut it at all. I would have immediately been picked up on that sort of nonsense. Okay, so at this point, I think I should nip back to the trader, possibly pick up some more work for tomorrow, and then do a bit of reconnoitering before bedtime.
Thank God it cussed. Now we're cooking with gas. I'm in a bit of a corner. It's rare to find honor in.
Before I do anything else, I think I need to do a little further preparatory work here. Probably want to be a little higher off the ground than That first block. Now I think a little late evening stroll. Aha! I think we have a snake trying to sneak up on me. Yes. Tarzan is not so easily fooled, Mr. Snake. This gentleman seems a little agitated. I need to be a little bit careful of that vulture, given that I've bled a little. Oh, where did that other spear go? No, it's stuck in that wobbly fellow. I think I ought to be thinking about getting back to my tree. And with that, I think it's time to settle down for the night. So sleep tight and make sure the bedbugs and zombies and wild animals and vultures don't bite.